Hello, Alan. You're back on. We're just in a break.
In a break, who we got?
And hello, Facebook, because I know that you don't usually hear this bit, but you have to tonight. We've got Glynis and Seaton Delaval.
Lovely.
He's just
on
the way. Tell you the other in a sec.
Okay, man.
There's a lot of people asking where you are.
We'll get to know all your duty. I'm in house arrest.
Yes, there's a lot of comments for that.
We'll get to know all of our dirty secrets, including that boil of yours.
Yeah, I haven't got the camera on me, so that's all right.
We're just trying something out, guys, so don't worry about it.
And Chris and Peter Lee.
Lovely. Alrighty.
Got 1 minute.
Thank you.
Someone's saying no swearing in the break, but this is the only time we can swear, unfortunately, so...
Bollocks. Terrifying thought. You never know what's going to slip out if they can hear every single thing that happens. Wow.
Yep. All right, 30 seconds. You'll hear the outer break.
How's that?
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Hello, everybody, and we are starting off with Glynis, who is in Seaton Delaval. Hello, Glynis.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you kindly for ringing. What you got for us tonight?
Well, I was just on your Facebook page and I saw you talked about weird food combinations.
Yeah, what's yours? So what's yours then?
Well, I do like a corned beef and vinegar sandwich. I still take them to work these today. It's absolutely delicious.
How did you come across that?
You know, I can't remember, but I was saying to your researcher, I think it was probably my grandma, because she used to eat weird stuff. She used to make me apple sandwiches and banana sandwiches and beetroot sandwiches when I was a kid. And if she used to get me a mince pie from Greg's, I used to always put vinegar on that. So I think there's just a vinegar theme going on there, really.
You're in a pickle. It's just, I remember that apple sandwich thing, because, again, when you said my mum used to make me apple sandwiches, I used to have them sometimes for school, and by the time you got them, if you ever lifted the bread off, the apples were black. Ugh.
Yeah, and the butter would be all stuck to it. But yeah, with a bit of sugar on, as long as you don't look at it, it would be all right.
I think the vinegar thing was quite scary.
Oh, you've got to try it. It really is the best, honestly. Don't knock it.
Does it not just
vinegar?
Does it not just make the corned beef mushy?
No, because it's like the sliced corned beef rather than the tinned one. So
right.
Slices of corned beef with just a bit of vinegar on, and it's fine. Still absolutely fine by lunchtime. So yeah, you should try it. It's probably no different to having pickle on, really. or chopping up some pickled onions and throwing that in. But yeah, it's lovely.
No, because I remember ages ago on a show, some woman rang up when she was well pregnant and had one of those pregnancy urgy things that ladies get, and she hated pickled onions but loved to drink the juice.
Oh, you see,
Yeah, I
I've
know
got
that's.
3 kids. In my first one, I did have a pickled onion craving with those, and I remember my husband had thrown out my jar. Well, he was throwing out my jar of pickled onions, and I went mental because he said they'd gone out of date. Absolutely went mental. So yeah, that was my first pregnancy. But I think with my daughter, I craved lager, but I didn't have it. But I don't really crave lager when I was pregnant with my daughter. But I know, not good. But
I think there's a few men who aren't pregnant who crave lager as well. But that's another thing. What do you reckon to this lockdown of restaurants and pubs and stuff? Is it going to affect you in any shape or form, Glynis?
I suppose it's when you can't go to them, you want to, don't you? So
Yeah.
we don't go out that much, but it's just nice. I mean, today we've been out walking up in Northumberland around Harbottle and stuff, and just
Great.
think outside the store in up there, and that was lovely. But the thought of things kind of closing down and not being able to do that is it's not great, is it? So it's just a shame for all the businesses as well when we're starting to maybe get back on their feet again. So,
Well, I think because it's been so long since people have been able to do it, that's made everybody want to do it and yearn for it. So there was a gush of people to pubs and clubs. Mind you, not clubs, but pubs and restaurants. But I must say that I don't fully understand it because all of the things that they brought in, like dividing tables up and table service, and I thought that was adequate, but it's adequate in the south, but it's not adequate in the north, apparently.
yeah, it's a bit double standards, isn't it? It's not great.
Yeah.
I know we
Kinda
went out a few times, but yeah, it's a bit depressing. But
it is, but at least it gives you a chance to go to Harbottle next time with a corned beef sandwich covered in vinegar.
Well, I tell you what, you know what I cooked when I got home tonight? We've been defrosting the freezer, so I haven't been buying anything in. So I thought, what am I going to make for pudding? So I had a look what I had, and I made nectarine and banana crumble, and it was absolutely delicious.
And this is essentially with the stuff that would be at the back of your freezer, and you'd never have looked at it had you not had enough time to pull the whole thing apart.
I know, so that was a new combination. But I was telling your researcher as well about stuff that I can't stand. My husband's from Northern Ireland, and
Right.
when we used to go and visit his granny when she was still alive, I remember the first time we went to stay at her house, and she served up like boxed crumbed fish. You just breadcrumbed fish, but then she got the beef gravy out, and she poured beef gravy all over it. And my eyes, I was like, oh my God, that's gross. And my husband's like, you better eat it. It's my granny. So every time I went, when I had the kids, she would serve up this fish and breadcrumbs with beef gravy. It's just disgusting. It's the worst thing. But
that's wicked though, because in a way, it's two things that we traditionally love. We love gravy. Who doesn't love gravy? And we love fish, battered fish or breadcrumb fish. So you'd think two things that we like, how can we not like it? But together, that's just wrong.
Yeah, that's horrible. It's like the same as I really hate mashed potato and beans together. I think that's a really horrible combination.
I completely agree. There's a lot of people that would fight you on that one, but I absolutely agree. A baked bean should be nowhere near a mashed potato. It's a sin.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Sin against catering. Oh, absolutely. Anything else then, Glynis?
It's funny you should say that because there was like a farming program on tonight, and they were talking about Carlin peas. And I hadn't realised that it was just a northeast thing because I was asking my husband if he'd heard of them because I remember my grandma around Easter time getting these black Carlin peas, and they look like rabbit droppings, and she used to steep them in vinegar and serve them up with salt and pepper. And I was like, have you heard of them? And he didn't know what I was talking about, and I googled it tonight, and it's a northeast thing apparently. Apparently some ship was wrecked off the northeast coast and had a big cargo of peas. And it was a time when the northeast people were really hungry, apparently. So it became really popular to have these Carlin peas around Easter time. I didn't know if you'd heard of them or...
I have, yes. There's a thing called Carlin Weekend, apparently. It's like the first weekend close to Easter where everybody was supposed to eat these things, and I've seen them in a plate.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made some, and they said, "Would you like to try them?" And I must admit, I should have done, but God, they look rank. So
Well,
I
they'll
just kind of said,
have
"Well,
a
I'll try them
taste.
later. I'll try them later," but I never got around to it.
Yeah, they're not great, but again, they're very vinegary if you follow that recipe. But they just look too much like rabbit droppings. They really
Yeah,
do.
but
So,
should have been right up your street though, vinegar.
I know all the vinegar. I know, absolutely.
Just
Hey,
drain
the
it
other
off.
one in our family
You, you do
is that.
realise that after you die, if ever they should dig you up, any archaeologists, you'll be in perfect condition with all that vinegar
I know
pickling
I'll
you
be
from the inside out.
absolutely.
Hey, lovely talking to you, Glynis. Thank you for coming on, darling.
All right, thanks a lot. Now, take care. Bye.
No worries. Bye bye. So there is Glynis from Seaton Delaval. We're moving straight on. Now, somebody sent a thing in this week and said, you get a caller on who's a bit like Senna the Soothsayer from the old Up Pompeii television program. Whoa and thrice whoa. Whether that's that or whether he's the closest one to the truth, we'll never quite know. It's Chris, and he's in Peterlee. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, Alan.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Hi, mate. You all right?
I am fine.
Yep. I just want to talk about what's happening in the world and in our area and what's on the news and stuff like that. I don't want to
go for it.
Or to put it down to anything.
Okay.
So what's happening in the world in the northeast tonight? What's happening? How was our world tonight? I'd say there's everyone's worried about the coronavirus and things like that. And what we've all seen is musicians have been told to find another line of work in the northeast.
Yeah.
That's across the country apparently, but it hit us hard in the northeast because mostly everyone I know is a musician in the northeast.
Right.
And another thing that's happening is all the pubs are closing down, and people who are posting reviews on restaurants, giving them great reviews, are saying, well, they're just shutting down. So everything's shutting down in the northeast and everywhere. So what's in the news tonight? I've got the BBC homepage on. This is the most read. This is the news for the most read from the BBC.
Yeah.
Number one, Merseyside set to face strictest COVID rules.
Right.
One. Number two, coronavirus survives 28 days in lab conditions. Number three, as UK prepares for new lockdowns, Europe is struggling too. What's that all about? Number four, 12,872 cases announced on Sunday. Number five, controversy. It goes on like that, right? It's got absolutely nothing to do with what's happening in the world. Everything's closing down, and this is what they're putting on the news. We want to know why all the pubs are shutting and being told. Honestly, right, this is just what's in the news, but I've researched a bit further, and farmers' fields, lots of farmers who are producing the food for the world, they're also being shut down. What they're saying is, one of the farmers was positive for COVID, so we have to quarantine this farm and not let any of the seeds or the crops out. Right. So we're just going to let them rot. So that's going to have an impact on food. But why isn't any of this in the news? Well, I know why. That's the question.
What do you think? I mean, why do you say I know why? Why then?
Well, I know this is what's happening now is not by accident. It was all planned. Definitely planned. Definitely.
Right.
This is just a plan on unraveling.
So, okay, if this is part of a plan that's unraveling, the plan is to destroy the northeast first, because a lot of the south's getting away with it. It's interesting, though, the point that you made about the big news networks who have access to everything that's happening all over the world, but the only thing that's happening that they want to broadcast is COVID.
Well, like I say, the most read thing, number one, according to them, is Merseyside set to face strictest COVID rules.
Right.
Well, you know, the North East is facing strict COVID rules at the minute. And now
Yeah.
they're saying Merseyside will after that. And then the second one is COVID virus survives 28 days in lab conditions. 28 days. That reminds me of that film, 28 Days Later. Viruses and all
Yeah.
that. Definitely something in numerology and stuff like that.
Mm. So, do we? I mean, we seem to have no choice than to just go along with everything that they're saying, or do you feel that we shouldn't?
No, I definitely think we should definitely go along with everything. We should, but we should also voice our own opinions.
Would it make any difference?
It doesn't matter. We have to go along with it because the good people of the world are they've got jobs and they've got jobs to do and they have to do this stuff, and we just have to let them get on with it, and we have to let the course run, and then hopefully we can do something about it. You know, but the thing is, you know, there's no point in being awkward or you know, like saying I'm not
Rebellious.
doing that. Just rebellious. There's no point in doing that. Just go along with it. People are just doing the jobs. You know,
right, but you say that people are just doing their jobs. Would there be any difference in the amount of people dying, do you think, if we just got on with doing what we normally do when there's a virus, which is just press on?
Well, when it comes to people dying, I mean, people are going to die, and all we can do is just, you know, try and treat them the best we can and stop them from dying. You know,
right.
But, you know, I'm no doctor. I don't know what the
Sure.
thing is what they do, but I just
has it affected your life? Has it affected your life with regards to what you do for a living or how you socialise?
No, it hasn't affected me in that way. It has in socialising way, but not with my job, because I'm a keyboard. So I've worked through it, and I've tried to help people the best I can.
It's difficult knowing what to do for the best in a time like this, because essentially they want everybody just to stay in their house, and presumably if everybody stays in their house, then crime plummets and society reboots. Is that what this is all about, do you think?
No, that's miles away from what it's all about. Yeah, definitely not about it.
So this is purely and simply it's the virus, because my only worry would be if we react this way to this virus, remembering there have been many awful viruses before, and I'm sure there's half a dozen more down the lane. Do we have to do this for everyone then? Every time the pubs and shops shut and people lose their jobs, and it just seems to me to be a slippery slope.
Yeah, well, I've actually looked into that question you just asked, Dale, and I've looked into it because I think it's a very interesting question. And what I found was the swine flu. That's what I found.
Yeah.
And then further back, I found AIDS. And I found some very, very shady stuff going on regarding the swine flu and AIDS. This COVID thing is the number 3 as far as I'm concerned. There was other stuff like viruses in the news, like Ebola, and there was H1N1.
Yeah.
I've heard about all the cows that got destroyed. Remember that when the swine flu was out, and they killed all the cows. We killed them to eat them. You know what I mean? So I was a bit perplexed when I heard that news. I thought, well, how can I be like distraught about cows getting killed over a virus which isn't haven't even infected the cows, which was the swine flu, in which the virus it paralyzed a lot of people.
Sure.
Which they didn't even need it because there's only like 500 or so died of that virus. Right. But all them cows and everything that got slaughtered when they didn't even have nothing wrong with them. I sort of felt for them, but then I thought again, well, I'll just have a hamburger, you know, and so I can't really, you know, I don't have the answer.
No, I don't think anybody does, mate. But with respect to it all, everybody seems to have an opinion as to whether we should or whether we shouldn't. And anybody that wished to protest against it, well, they've stopped that by telling everyone that you're not allowed to protest if there's more than 6 of you. So they kind of have the country under an iron fist, really. But you think that's the best way to be?
What do you mean? Do you think?
Well, the government, every time that there's somebody speaks out against the government, like, there was massive protests all over the world, and in Britain they were starting to build. They were starting to build in Britain, and they closed that down by saying you're not allowed to protest with more than 4 or 5 people, otherwise you can be arrested or fined or da-di-da. We don't have an option, though, do we? We can only go with the flow and see where it takes us.
Well, that's my advice. I would say go with the flow. That all the civil servants and everyone who's going along with this, they are just doing their jobs. They need to earn a living. And I'm really sorry for the people who are musicians and bar owners and entrepreneurs, but all their business is getting closed down. I'm sorry. It's just going to all the government business is still open. Like I say, I'm a key worker, so I work my way through, and I've had no problem with wages. And I feel really sorry for the people who have businesses and about to close down. That's like nearly every pub and club in the UK. It will be by the next, in a year's time, it's going to be everywhere is closed. Not going to be anywhere, any sandwich shops open or anything. And like what I'm speaking about is what's in the news now. Merseyside set to face strictest COVID rules.
But you see,
says top UK scientist.
Yeah, it just seems that's the only news at the present moment. But thanks for coming on, Chris. Always interesting to hear your views. Thanks for ringing in. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Have a good band.
Okay, man. Take care. Bye-bye. It's a scary thing, not just for musicians, but for venues and people who want to go and see gigs and festivals, and that whole world has shattered in like a fragile glass bulb. It's just popped. And where will it lead us? What will it... I mean, for a musician who spent 20, 30 years doing what they do, to be told, find another line of work when we're expecting between 3 and 5 million people unemployed within the next 12 months, doing what exactly? Starting from scratch? It just seems an impossible ask. Let's go across to Durham. We've got Ross there. Let's have a chat with him. Hi, Ross.
Hi, Alan. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good to hear from you again. Thank you for calling in. What's your subject tonight, and what do you want to dive into?
So, just like to dive into, really, I'm hoping that we can generate a little bit of awareness with your listeners for some positivity in amongst all of this COVID carry on if we can. We've got an amazing challenge going on at the moment in the Northeast, where there's a former SAS soldier who, born and bred in the Northeast, now lives in Dubai. He's taking a bike and he's taking on an endurance challenge in southern Italy between 2 volcanoes. It's over 5 days. He's riding about 1,100 kilometers, 24,000 meters of game, but it's all to raise money for Middlesbrough and Stockton Mine Charity to raise awareness of mental health and support mental health in the Northeast.
Oh, that's great. So who is this guy?
So this guy's called Derek Gamblin. He was brought up in the Northeast, and as he's obviously Special Forces, there's not a huge amount else I can tell you. He's probably got a pixelated face most of the time, but he's doing this amazing thing to support local charity. And Middlesbrough and Stockton Mine have supported his family through the years, so he's got a lot of affinity with it. And what we're looking to do is actually build some positivity within the Northeast and support him. There's the charity itself, there's the work that he's doing independently, but what we've actually done through Nuffield Hospital at Teesside, we've taken the idea of what he's doing, this 1,100 kilometers, and we've changed it into a challenge that we opened up, first of all, within the hospital to staff and family and friends. We created this 1.1 challenge, which reflects the 1,100 kilometers. So the idea is simple. You do anything activity-wise or whatever you want to do that relates to the numbers 1.1 or 11. So it can be, it can be a family walk for 1.1 miles, obviously all socially distanced, of course, run for 11 miles, cycle for 110 kilometers, rock out to your favorite song for 11 seconds, do 110 bounces on a trampoline or whatever it may be. And we're just asking people to get engaged, get involved, challenge friends, use the power of social media, and donate whatever they can, if they can, to the Middlesbrough and Stockton Mine charity. And the money all goes to them, doesn't go anywhere else.
Mine's a great charity. I've been associated with them over a number of years, and it's good that somebody from the forces particularly gets involved with this, because hell's teeth, the amount of people who have come out of the army or the air force or the navy and had issues trying to get back into Civvy Street. It's one of those charities that's always been there for them when an awful lot seem to be ineffective, but mine's always a listening ear 24/7 as well, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's across all spectrums as well. And so it's, you know, they look at programs for children as well. So I think to run a 6-month program, it costs about £5,000. I think so far Derek starts his challenge on the 18th of October. It runs for 5 days. We're running our 1.1 challenge for the whole of the month of October. Right. I think he's raised about £2,000 himself so far, and we're looking to try and generate whatever we can. And I know Derek, unfortunately, is in Dubai at the moment, so he wanted to try and help spread the word himself. But he's very keen to let everybody know that it doesn't go to he's self-funding everything. So every penny that's raised goes straight to Middlesbrough and Stockton Mine for them to use in the best way possible for the local community.
What's the two volcanoes? I'm guessing one of them's Etna. What's the other one?
Yeah, Etna and Vesuvio. So he's going between the two. I think, yeah, there is a bit of water between the two, so he does have to jump on a ferry at one point. But other than that, he's unsupported, so he has to carry everything on his back for 5 days while he does all of it. Sleep at the side of the roads, or grab a hotel, or grab a coffee at a McDonald's somewhere, and just keep cycling. And yeah, it's unbelievable. It's kind of epic, really, and I can't quite get my head around it. But we've had some great entries so far. As I say, we've had the ward staff at the hospital. I think 11 of the staff did 11 exercises around the ward and put their money in the pot. And we've started to see some schools get involved as well with all the restrictions that are on schools. They're trying to generate that emotional well-being and positivity and putting challenges out across the schools as well. So it's just a great thing to do. And as I say, and amongst all the fog around COVID at the moment, I think to drive some positivity, we're just really keen to get that message out there for anyone that's listening that's interested, really.
Right. Well, I mean, we know how to reach him now, and presumably we can follow his progress day by day. I'm guessing he's blogging it, is he?
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways to do it. So he's on Instagram. So if you look for Always a Little Further on Instagram, and if you go onto the Nuffield Tees Twitter feed or the Middlesbrough and Stockton Mine Twitter feed, you'll see all the updates on there as well as we come through with everybody's challenges as well. So as we get them or see them, we're posting them on there. And if anybody needs any more information, there's a Just Giving page set up, which if they just look under Just Giving 1.1, it's all there as well, and the detail of what we're doing and trying to achieve it is all there.
That's brilliant. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for telling us all about it, Ross. Appreciate your time, and good luck to him. Let's hope that Derek sees it. I'm sure he will. SAS, he'll get there.
Yeah, I absolutely will. Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
No worries. Respect to you all. Thanks for coming on. Right, now, piece of music from Bananarama incoming. But first of all, let's see what scares the bejeebers out of them.
What are you frightened of? Have you got anything that an irrational fear of any kind?
Heights.
Why? What's happened?
I don't know. It just makes me feel sick.
Did you ever fall off a tall boyfriend?
I've had a tall boyfriend, but I'm not sure I fell off. I'm too well practiced.
What about you? You got a scare? Something that you're frightened of? Irrational fear.
Oh, you're claustrophobic.
I am claustrophobic. Someone trapped me in one of those concrete tubes when I was a child.
Oh, gee,
so they leave in parks.
Yeah.
Block the end off. I don't know if that's why I do. That's one thing. What else? I don't like kind of spooky programs, horror films and ghosts and things.
No, you're kidding me.
No, I don't like stuff.
I'm an exorcist.
Yes. Oh God.
So have you ever seen a ghost or had any?
No. I'd be absolutely. I think I killed myself.
I think I have actually.
Yeah. Tell me your story. What was it?
Yeah, she's very psychic. That one.
I had a really strange experience just after Sarah's father died.
Uh-huh.
And I was lying in bed in Sarah's house in my little room. And I swear someone was blowing on my face. That's what it felt like. And I couldn't really see anything, but it was a very strong presence telling me to tell Sarah that everything was okay. And it really freaked me out.
Yeah.
I had to go and wake her up and tell her because I didn't switch all the lights on.
And in a way,
I was very, very convinced.
Your dad wouldn't come to you because he would know how scared you are.
Yeah. Oh no, she's just got no powers at all in that respect. I wouldn't be able to make contact with her.
They'd be too frightened. They wouldn't. No, leave that one alone.
Yeah, but her friend's really nice. Let's go and talk to her.
Hang on, she's asleep.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't feel the nightdress rising, or you didn't get any of that, did you?
No.
Because that was in that film Poltergeist. You got to be careful.
No, I didn't have any of that.
Right.
And it's probably ridiculous, but I was quite convinced at the time.
Hi, Alan. You're in a break.
Okay, mate. Thank you. Who we got next, mate?
He's just putting Alex in. I can hear a lot of noise in the background there.
I know there's a lot of noise, mate. We'll try and keep it to the break if we can.
Yeah. Right.
Alex from?
Alice. No, he's gone. It's Alison and Anfield Plain.
Right.
That's just the one for now.
Okay, man.
We need to choose a song for our next break at
Just
20
pick one.
past.
Tell me what. 20 past. Just pick one and tell me what it is, man.
Okay. Do you like Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Relax.
That'll do it.
Okay, then we've got Alison and Anfield playing, but before that, Alex and Chopwell.
Alex and Chopwell first, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
You could do your clues as well. You've got 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah, mate.
Oh 0191 488 3188.
This is Night Owls. Greatest Hits Radio.
And hello, welcome back, everybody. Alan Robson with you. Of course, this is Greatest Hits Radio. Thank you so much for being with me, spending a bit of time. We also want your weird food combinations. We mentioned that before. And going to give you your first clue that could win you a nice little prize tonight. I'm going to give you 4 clues. Each clue will give you a word. From those 4 words, you've got to work out exactly what greatest hit we're looking for. It's a song and a singer. It's a massive one. And the first clue is this. A greatest hit for Badfinger was called No Something What. Okay? A greatest hit for Badfinger was No Something What. They had a hit with Day After Day after this. They had a hit before it with If You Want It, Here It Is, Come and Get It. But the one in the middle, No Something What. Cover version was done by Def Leppard some years on. But that is your first clue. You'll get 3 more clues to come. See how you fare. We are going up the mountains, but not the main mountains, the other mountains on the other side of the valley. We're going to Alex, who's in Chopwell. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Good. I spoke to you last week about obviously what's going on and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's just a bit more of that, if that's all right. But obviously, at the top of the show, you did mention a few things about freedom of speech, I think, like in the media and
yes,
and things like that. I think it's getting a bit out of hand, isn't it? To be fair, I mean, you can't say much. You can't go to protest. It's like they want a total blanket over anything that's said about anything to do with this. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you'll notice at the beginning of the first lockdown, you would get all of these people coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, conspiracy this and conspiracy that."
Oh, yeah.
You don't see them at all now. That's the thing, and that's always a worry, because whether you agree with them or whether you think they're all mad as a hat, people, my father and his generation fought to give everybody the freedom to be able to talk crap or tell the truth, depending on which side of that argument you choose to be.
That's it. I mean, like, if you go back years ago, everyone can have an opinion, but it's not even people having an opinion. They don't want the facts being told or said. They don't want the truth being told. It's not even opinions. Obviously, everyone has an opinion, but it's they don't want the facts out at all. I mean, obviously scaring people with fines. So if you go to a protest or anywhere and you speak, you get a £10,000 fine.
Right.
And obviously that's to scare you off from saying what they don't want you to say, basically. But it all seems to be coming from the same small number of people. It's obviously certain mainstream medias, they're pushing it like there's no tomorrow. And it just seems to be going on and on and on. I mean, it's almost terrorism, in my opinion. They're terrorising the public based on absolute non-facts, and it's just going too far. And it's starting to affect freedom of speech. You can't say anything. I mean, they've got everyone in masks, and to wear a mask, what can you not do? You can't speak. You can't understand what. So if you're going to the shops, you're wearing a mask. I mean, I've heard people speaking with a mask. I can't understand what they're saying, and it seems like it's almost a controlled thing. They don't want you. They've got something over your face, so you can't really speak. You're not allowed to go in public and speak. You're not allowed to get together with people properly and speak without your out of your little bubble, as they call it. And it's just going a bit too far, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting that through local and national talk shows, they've narrowed it down. I think there's only about 4 now, and there used to be something like 700. So, I don't know what that says, but it's if you were trying to prepare for a time when you took total control, you have to close those kind of windows, I suppose. But okay, so where do you think this is going? Where do you think they want us to be? Where do you think they're taking us? If you think there's more to this than COVID, where do you think it's going?
I think there's a few little things not little things, are quite big things are going to happen. I think they want rid of a lot of people. I think they want a lot of people chipped, vaccinated, whatever you want to call it. They want to know where everybody is all of the time. They basically want us, obviously, like the China model. So they want us in the exactly same situation. They'll ban mainstream. What do you call them? The online chat things, all that. They'll ban all them. That's coming.
Right.
And basically, we're going to be living in whatever's on TV is what they are putting on TV, which is pretty much what it is now. And it just seems to be we're all falling for this thing that's happening. And you had a caller on earlier. I think it was Chris, maybe.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let's see how it goes. I mean, I think the time's up for doing that. People need to stand up and wake up now, because what's happening is we're allowing one television channel to tell you what to do on the back of absolute nonsense of government advisors and all this type of rubbish and computer models, which are just useless to the actual.
Well, okay, let's just say let's just say we follow the Chopwell mode, and we say, okay, let's be rebellious, let's stand against it, let's fight back, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to live our way, and there's nothing you can do about it. They'll arrest you, they'll fine you, they'll try their best to destroy you, I suppose, if you're right. Is a fight back possible? Was the question.
So you've just hit the nail on the head. So if you live how you want to live, you will be arrested. You will be this, you will be that. And that's all come off the back of of what? Do you know what I mean? Like, if people want to investigate how many deaths there are, I mean, they're going off numbers which are based on a flawed test. So the amount of numbers that they said they've got this virus, and the amount of people dying, I think we mentioned it last week, don't match the amount of cases we've got. And obviously they're shutting down certain areas. Obviously the north there's always been a north-south divide when it comes to politics, but it seems to be that they're just picking on certain areas. I mean, it's as though, like you said, they don't shut them down in the south. I mean, I was actually in Trafalgar Square on the 19th of last month at a peaceful gathering, and honestly, I'm not on about the gathering. Obviously, there was people. There was maybe up to 30,000 people there, even though the mainstream media said there was hundreds there. But that's what they do, isn't it? But I mean, on the night time, I was out with my partner, and we were just having a look around and things. The pubs were absolutely jammed, and it seems worse than what it is here. It seems like how can it spread faster here than it does down there? And there's just no common sense to it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's just if you can't go anywhere, and if you think about it, when we're not supposed to be going anywhere, if you can't see what's happening in other countries, because we're not supposed to go there either, how do you get a balanced view? You only see the view that comes out of that little square box in the corner.
Exactly. That's exactly what the end product is going to be. We are going to be controlled by a very, very minor, insignificant amount of the world. Well, more our countries, but we'll be controlled by one little bit, and they'll promote whatever they want to promote to us, and we'll basically have to obey whatever it is. And it's starting now, and the more people are just sitting back. I know what you're saying. If you do this and do that, you'll get fined. What? I mean, you get a fine. What's worse? Losing your freedoms, losing everything, you can't go and see your family. They're on about bringing tests in for kids every single week at school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, but on top of that, of course, what they're also saying is that because you can be tested today and be told you haven't got COVID, but you got to come back next week and be tested to make sure you haven't got it next week. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Because eventually, first of all, if they said to you, you've got COVID, how do you know you've got COVID? Can you prove you've got COVID? Can they prove you've got COVID? It's just you're having to trust somebody somewhere down the lane. Exactly.
We've got a virus so bad, you have to be tested for it. You can't tell from looking at you. You can't tell from feeling it. That's how bad it is. They've got to test you to know that they think you've got it. People know when they've got a virus. Simple as that. I mean, you go to the doctor. Every time until this year, you go to the doctor. There's nothing we can do. Go and sleep it off. But this year, don't sleep it off. You've got to get tested. You've got to get this. You've got to get that. And we're going to vaccinate you. That's where it's going to end up.
But surely there will be a point where you can say, I do not want to be vaccinated, or will they forcibly vaccinate you?
Well, they've even ordered. I mean, I don't know how they have even a vaccine yet, considering we kind of we're starting in March with this. We're a little bit late, I think. But it takes 6 years to fully safety test the vaccine. So if they've got a vaccine before 6 years' time, do not take it, because that's the length of time it takes to fully test the vaccine and trial it and do all of that. They were trialing it just after March, certain ones and certain this. And now they're on about bringing the BCG in as the vaccine. It's just unbelievable. It seems they've got an answer for everything.
Well, they have, but they still can't tell us what COVID really is. They say, oh, well, it's a virus, and we still don't even know how it's transmitted, truly. I mean, we have this public information thing that says it's passed this way and that way, but they don't. Even the scientists themselves say, well, we're not really sure. Now, for a whole world not to be really sure about this thing, to me, rings all of the alarm bells, because
Exactly.
They would by now. If every scientist was looking at this, we'd know a lot more about it, but we don't. So what would your advice be? I mean, Chris earlier said, just write it out. We'll see where it takes us and what have you. And to be honest, with every other virus, we have ridden it out. But it's just in this particular case.
But it's what the government haven't acted like this with any other virus. That's the problem. I mean, to write it out. I mean, unfortunately, 6 million people did that in the Second World War. Do you know what I mean? They thought some people were going to look after them. Wasn't the case, and that's going to be exactly the same as what's going to happen now. It maybe just my opinion based on a few facts, to be fair. But I think that we're kind of going down this road, and the people in power, I think they're just, I don't know, they're a bit satanic, aren't they? Really, in the way that
it's a bit satanic. It's the potential for disaster is huge here, and I think people are going to have to be very, very careful how they prepare themselves and their families. And when you start to hear from people in Britain, you know, the stiff upper lip, loyal, steadfast, and true to this nation because we love it and we're loyal. When we hear people like that saying, there's now been a kind of massive push towards bunkers being built for the widespread loss of law and order to come. Whoa, whoa, just hang on a second. When's this going to happen? Do you know? Scary.
It's mad. And did you see the new law that they're trying to pass? And it's allowing like the police and other agencies to commit crimes. Did you see that in any of the broadsheets?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting. Some of the agencies that are given powers to commit crimes. I think I've got a couple written down here.
Just by chance on your copious notes. Good man.
Oh, yeah. I normally write stuff down so I don't get any libel claims again.
I think it's me that would get stuck with that rather than you, mate.
Oh, well, it's my word, so hopefully it not affect you too much.
We'll send them to your house.
Yeah. So the HMRC, the Competition and Markets Authority, the Gambling Commission, the Food Standards Agencies. So I can't understand why the Food Standards Agencies would be allowed to commit crimes under the new the law, the bill. Sorry, they're putting through Parliament.
Well, if you are going to be conspiracy-led, you would say, well, they're obviously going to put something in the food that they don't want on the packaging.
Yeah. So it's unbelievable, isn't it? And why now? Do you know what I mean?
It begs a million questions.
A few months off, haven't it?
Yeah. But isn't it strange, though, that there's nothing happening in the whole world except COVID?
Yeah. I said that. I thought that in March. I thought, right, I'm sure nothing's going to happen. And I was pretty much right. But obviously, there seems to be terrorism took 7 months off.
Yeah,
which is
war. Everybody stopped fighting a war. Hey, it's so you could argue, oh, well, there's some good coming out of it. Ooh, I think we're going to have to wait and see for that one. But Alex, thank you for coming on. Great to hear from you again. We'll talk about it when we still can. Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
Thanks, mate. Take care now. Bye.
So there's Alex. Strong. Where do you think? I mean, are we heading towards the Hunger Games? You know, hey, this is wild stuff that we're hearing about. But then again, you've got the balance of Chris earlier and Peter Lee. Where do you stand? We're going to take a piece of music, and we have some information for you that we must share that is heavy on our hearts. I shall tell you more about that. But first, let's hear from Boy George about his ups and downs in his life. And blimey, he's had more than a few, hasn't he?
Trauma, insanity. You've had, my goodness, and then in the middle of all of this and false accusations and prison and da-da-da, in the middle of it all, they write an A-Team episode about you. It's like a Fellini film.
I know. Well, you know, I always say life is what happens while you're avoiding camera phones. You know, it's yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of lives, and you know, my life has been like a kind of fairground ride in some respects. But a lot of it's been amazing, and right now I'm in a really good place. I'm loving. I've got a kind of renewed passion for what I'm doing musically, and I think the key thing for me is I've grown up a bit. I grew up on. I can give you the date exactly. It was March the 2nd, 2008, is when it really happened. I can't remember the day I went mad, but it was sometime in the 80s. But March 2nd, 2008 was really a turning point for me. And
so, what happened on that day to make it this grand new beginning?
I got sober. So that's my kind of sober birthday. That's when it really, really started for me. And, I say to people a lot now, that, being sober and being a mess, they're both commitments. You just need to work out which one suits you best. And I think I have, and I think that for me, I do my best work when I'm clear and when I'm engaged with the world and when I'm happy. And that's where I am right now.
You also kind of danced towards Buddhism. Is that still where you are?
Oh no, definitely. I'm a fully fledged practicing Buddhist, and that's a big part of my daily life. And I kind of got involved in it in the 80s, and did it for a while, and then about a year ago I went back and started practicing. And I think actually, as an older man, I'm a bit calmer. I've been able to really, really get my head around it now, and it really sort of finally kind of makes absolute sense for me. So it's and it's a practice. It's something that you have to do every day, and I just think it really, really helps me, and certainly all the people I know that do it. It seems to do the same.
Hi, Alan. You've still got Alison and Anfield playing next.
I do. That's great. Thank you. How long's the ads?
We've still got 2 minutes 20.
2 minutes 20. Okay. Cisco for us.
Sorry, you're back. I turned your mic off. You're back.
Sorry, mate. If you could dig out some Bodie clips, particularly the one that he did when he did a ghost hunt in San Francisco, if you can.
We've got Bodie's Tornado.
Yeah.
Bodie's Homemade Dentistry. Bodie
No, not
talks.
so much.
This is all we've got in clips here.
All right. There is a ghost one, though, isn't there?
No, not here. I'll ask Chris if he knows where it is.
Might be under ghost. Might be under ghost. Bodie's da-di-da. Might not be under Bodie's or something.
I do. I've got Bodie's camcorder sound and Bodie's stories. And you've got 15 seconds. You'll hear the outer break.
Okay. 15 seconds.
This is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, before we go any further, and I know we've got Alison and Anfield playing. She's been waiting a little while. My apologies to Alison just for a second, because there's something that has happened that is major, and it's all about the Night Owls. A number of years ago, probably more years than I choose to remember, I was lucky enough to do some work on American television on a show called Scariest Places on Earth. And during that time, a young man sent me a few letters saying he enjoyed watching the TV show, that he'd done some ghost hunting himself, that he was really keen on it. He mentioned in one of his letters that he had been a taxi driver, and he tipped his cab and broke his spine, and it ended up in wheels of steel. And although it would have been very, very easy for him to have just given up and decided, well, that's it, I'm just going to be stuck in here and I'm not going to do anything, this guy decided instead of that, he was going to study medicine and become a doctor, maybe. The doctor it was not to be, but he became a medic. Then he became a senior nurse, and then he was given his own clinic in his locality in and around Middletown, Ohio, in the United States of America. And then when the television thing ended, he reached out and he tried to find where I was so that he could listen. And because of his medical background, we asked if he would take your calls so he could answer any medical problems that you might wanted a little bit of reassurance over. And he did that on Night Owls for years and years and years. I have so many memories of this guy. And his name, of course, is Bodie Gibbs. And we've just heard this week, although we don't know any of the the reasons why. He sadly passed, and we are yet to discover the reason why. His sister Sherry, we spoke to earlier this evening, confirming that Bodie is dead. And I don't know how I feel. I feel quite empty about the whole thing. I can't get my head around it because nothing could kill that guy. He'll be alive in our hearts forever. He was and is a sensational person. And I hope his adventure continues in grand style when he's out of that chair and beginning a brand new start somewhere else. We wish him well in his journey. But I just thought we'd just play a couple of clips of the man himself.
There was an upper floor in the building, and it used to be office buildings during the war.
Yeah.
And then it became apartments. And up there in the early 1970s, a 15-year-old girl who was a prostitute cut her wrists and passed away up there.
Right.
And patrons have, since that time, seen her, both upstairs and downstairs. But she's always seen on the staircase or at the top of the staircase.
Right.
And I had my friend Roy Caskey, who is an excellent photographer, and several other people in our team go upstairs and take some photographs. We also took some video up there, which I haven't processed yet.
Right.
But they came down and they were positively white-faced. One member of my team reported that they not only saw the apparition as it was being photographed, but they were spoken to, and the content basically was, get out, you've seen enough, we don't want you up here.
And yet that shot up the stairs, apart from orbs, and I've seen a trillion orbs in my lifetime, and that's a blessing, but you kind of get hardened to, there's more orbs, we got orbs, that's a good thing, but we've seen orbs, we kind of want to see more. To get a full figure on the stairs, and you can actually follow this, and it's pretty much human shaped.
Oh, yeah. And the really cool thing was when right before taking the photograph, there were people who were advancing up the staircase with an EMF meter and with a very sophisticated non-contact thermometer, the pistol thermometer.
Yeah, they're
were
fabulous.
Chasing this event. The ambient temperature in the staircase was 60 to 70 degrees, somewhere in that area.
Right.
But when they would point it at the figure, it would go down into the 30s.
Wow. And the thing again for the figure is there's an orb right in the center of the figure.
Yeah.
So it's a full figure plus an orb actually within it, almost as if the orb is merely part of.
Absolutely. And you can make out that it's a woman. You can make out that it's a female figure.
And here's the sound that he captured on his camcorder.
The entire planet itself and everything on it, literally everything, is the direct result of an exploding star. When the Big Bang occurred, there were stars formed, and those stars supernovaed, and in the supernova, planets were created.
Right.
That's us.
Yeah.
And so everything, everything on this planet has origins that could have come from somewhere besides this planet. And, if you trace it back, we are chemically, biologically related to the stars. How cool is that?
It is as cool as it gets.
The night before, I'd been taking care of her, and I had just come in on my shift, and I saw her walk across the hallway, and she was, pretty much, not able to walk or get out of the bed. And I told the nurse that was at the desk, I said, I just saw Mrs. I'll say Smith. I just saw Mrs. Smith come out of her room. She said, well, he died, or she died the next morning.
Wow.
This morning.
Yeah.
And, when I was driving a taxi, I pulled up to a place that was a nursing home. And I looked on the top floor to see a girl waving at me from the top floor. She was wearing a gown, and she looked very normal, but she was waving at me. And I waved back at her, and she smiled at me. And when my fare came out, who was at the time was one of the nurses there, I said, who's that girl on the top floor? And she said, honey, she said, that top floor has been blocked off for 40 years.
Wow.
The door to that top.
Live.
Wow. There you go. And let's hope Bodie's has taken that same step. We send him love wherever he happens to be. Right. Have to draw a line under it and begin the Night Owls again. Let's get back to it and let's welcome Alison in Anfield Plain. Hello, Alison.
Hi there, Alan.
Hello, Dan. How are you doing?
Oh, that was tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. What was the reason you called in? Let's get into that.
First of all, I just want to say I think I can speak from every single person who is listening right now who is just sending a hug out to every other night owl. Because it is, all the regulars know it's like losing a friend. And
absolutely,
this is when we all need to get together and hug each other.
At a time when you're not allowed to, that's it.
Exactly, and like that gets us into exactly what I wanted to come on and talk about, because for me personally, this is just getting so sad watching everything crumble around us. And we're all in this position where basically at the beginning, when all COVID and everything started to happen, we were all rallying around each other and helping each other, and like the divide has just seemed to be getting, like humans just seem to be slipping further and further apart.
There also seems to be coming in an unpleasantness between people. You know, you were quite right at the beginning. It's, how can we help one another? Oh, I'll pop next door and say, Mrs. Such and Such is after. All of those kind of things. And then now it's, there's an intolerance that seems to have started to come in as well, which is not very savoury at all.
It's like overwhelming sadness. Everybody seems to be like the things that pull us together, and the things, the human touch. It's like something we bumped into somebody on Friday night, and he's a friend of ours, and he lives down south, and I haven't seen him for a year. And we both had masks on. And literally you come rushing over and give me the biggest hug.
Lovely.
Tears were streaming down my face because I just thought,
you touch somebody.
I need to hug people. Yeah, I need to physically touch somebody, and the energy of physically actually holding another human being. Like, yes, I'm hugging Rob. We're in the house. We're here together. But I hugged everybody. I give everybody a hug.
Yeah, me too.
The energy that shares between people, that's what I feel is we're starting to really suffer from.
I think we're also paying a price not being able to smile. And I guess you can, and your eyes can kind of clinch a little bit, but it's not the same.
It's not, and it's an overwhelming sadness, and it's like, where do we go? What? I keep racking my brains thinking, like, I'm just one person. What, as one person, can I possibly do to just help people feel a little bit more connected and a little bit more like a part of something again? It's like coming on here on a Sunday night and speaking to you and the night owls and everything is a massive part of my life now, because it's that connection, it's that vibration of hearing people's voices and feeling part of something. And it's like, I think the night owls now it's always been exceptionally special in my life, but even more so now. It's like you wait for Sunday night to just have that, to hear what other people are doing and to feel connected, because we're just not connected anymore.
It's funny because it also kind of makes you realize how special it was that we were spoiled for so long, when you realize what's going on now, and the situation on a Sunday night, for how long can that last would be my question, because it's one of the few forums where people can actually say what they're thinking rather than what they're told to believe. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, because it's kind of somebody said something to me at the beginning of all this, and it just rings in my head all the time. And it's like, if there was a global pandemic happening around us, we wouldn't need the media to tell us.
I think that is also true. It worries me because I can see, like the guy that came on before, he went down to London and he was in the middle of 30-odd thousand people protesting, presumably against the whole way that COVID was being done. And the press said there was a few hundred people.
Yeah.
It's that kind of obvious lie, because he was there, he saw it, he knows how many people were there. So therefore, you would think at this time of social media, well, somebody will therefore put that on social media, everybody will see it, and therefore the truth will be out. But they're censoring social media as well. So
yeah.
So what do you believe?
Personally, I think we need to kind of start shrinking the groups down and looking at
what do you mean?
Like the kind of we're held under restrictions about who we can meet, what we can do, and I think that's only going to get worse. I think it's only going to get tighter and tighter and tighter.
I think so too.
And I think as individuals, we need to start looking at our own little network for survival and our own little kind of how you can go within yourself to kind of see what you're going to need to help you survive through this. And looking at mental health and looking at at the things that make you smile, and instead of looking at the media for direction, start looking inside yourself for direction.
But it's hard, because people in general, Alison, we're conditioned to believe what we're told, first of all, and look at the people who are telling us, politicians, doctors, doctors and nurses, that's GPs, where, we are conditioned to do what these people tell us. So we're not preconditioned to say, well, my doctor's told me that, but I obviously can't believe that. So therefore, there's nowhere to go there, because we are told from a very early age, you got to trust your doctor, believe your doctor knows best, and all those kind of things. We're not conditioned to strike out on our own, stuff everything that we're hearing on the news and going with what our heart tells us. That's a very different thing, We've never done that as a people before.
Yeah, but I think that's where the answer lies.
You may well be right. I just don't know how you get people there, because whether you like it or not, there are some people, and perhaps many people, that are rather more sheepish, and I don't mean that as a criticism, just they're followers rather than leaders.
Yeah,
and
totally understand, yeah.
Where do they go? What do they do?
I know. This is the thing that I've spent many hours kind of thinking in my head how we can turn this around to be something we can survive, because I think the way things are going, it's going to just destroy everybody. It's like we were sitting okay in our household, and Rob, my hubby, had been furloughed through the whole lot, was due to go back at the beginning of October, week before made redundant. He's the only earner in the house. It's highly unlikely that he'll get a job in what he was doing, because it was a specialised thing he was doing.
Right.
And basically, we are, like they always say, there's those people who you're three months from losing everything.
Sure. And you're certainly not alone in that now, because I think most people, even the people that you would have thought were the safest houses forever, those kind of people, musicians. Yes, I know you've made records and stuff, but you're not going to be able to do that anymore. Do something else. Whoa. Now, if you think about it, songs, and think of people like Dylan, the Beatles, Lennon, It's always been a way to get a message across, to tell the truth in the middle of whatever bull is around at the time. So they're closing that down. You can't talk on the media anymore. You can't. Your social media is being censored. This is as scary as life has ever been in my lifetime. Now, I'm fortunate I didn't live during the war and all of that, and I understand that would have been far more heinous than anything that I've lived through. This has the potential to destroy and ruin millions of lives if it hasn't already. Because you mentioned yourself, he was furloughed all the way through, and you kind of think when you're furloughed, well, I'll be back at work soon. Oh, it's great. I'm off with full pay, or 80% or whatever. We're going to be all right. And then we hear something like 90% of people on furlough will not get their job back, and your husband, sadly, is one of that number. But where does that lead you to? Does that mean that they want people to be unemployed so that they can provide the money so that we have to do what they tell us? Because if we don't, they'll stop sending us the cash. I don't know. I wish the hell that I did. Because, I mean, traditionally on this show, we try and accentuate the positive and turn things that are negative into positives. I don't know where to go with this. I truly don't know how to. I don't know how best. Anything that I say is just one man's opinion. People don't have to agree or disagree. They never have on Night Owls. But I've always been able to kind of steer the ship, I like to think, in a positive direction to get people through things. This is beyond anything that we've ever come across before. The only thing I can say is that we're better together. The more people that we can unite around any kind of collective, if that's what this is ultimately going to end up being. Because it may well be that we have to do this kind of stuff without radio stations. It's possible. Because I don't know. You hear stories about being investigated, and you think, why are they investigating me, or why are they investigating this guy on the television? What, because I've spoken of an opinion that's not necessarily the government's? Ooh.
Yeah, and once over, you could give any opinion you wanted. You could say what you wanted. But now it's like you will not speak. You will not say that. You will not do this. You will not do the other.
Don't question. That's the thing. Don't question.
And it's kind of like, this is when we need to. The problem is, this is where I mean about like questioning stuff. We need to come up with our own answers, because the government, the leaders, the people, they're all just human beings. They're all just, and we don't really know if they're part of something that they don't understand either. If this is bigger than what our government is, if it's somebody higher up than our government that's doing this and kind of pulling the puppet strings, we don't really know that. So,
no, and also, if you think about it, if you take that thought, because that's interesting, if you take that single thought and say, if, first of all, Boris, some people say that he's bright. I've never quite got that. But let's say Boris and his top table, if it's not them, who is it? Is it Donald Trump? If it's not Trump, well, is it Putin?
Yeah.
And if it's not them, are there people above them that because people on Night Owls, we did that show where we managed to talk to a member of the Illuminati. It might benefit us to dig out the thing that person said to us, because he's well known in the Northeast. I can't give you his name because I swore not to. But this is a well-known guy in the know, finger on the pulse of many, many, many things, media things, politics a little bit, more so the world of sport and media. And so you've got this situation where there's a guy who's got his fingers in a lot of different pies, saying things are going to happen as soon as religion has gone, people realize that religion is fake, which is essentially what he said. As soon as people start to realize that and pull away from the church, then they'll be looking for someone else to lead them when they finally get to the point where they don't trust their own government. Now, we are getting to the point, and I never thought this would happen truly in my lifetime. He said, when we start to distrust our own government, that's when we will step in and the people will welcome us. And you know, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, irrespective of who these people are, if somebody came to us now and said, forget Conservatives, Liberal Democrats, Labour, forget all of that. We have this thing, and if you go along with us, you'll get your holidays back. You can go anywhere in the world that you want to. We'll give you full employment, and if you're not fully employed, we'll give you a wage that you can comfortably live on. How many people would say, I'll have some of that? Because I would.
Yeah.
A guaranteed wage. Blame me, I'd snatch their hand off. And yet, 1 year ago, we would never have believed that we'd even contemplate doing something like that.
Yeah. Well,
It's just
I've got friends
monstrous.
who were on about something the other day, and they were kind of on about like how basically these people come in and they cause divide, then they cause the government, then they cause the country to split, and then they do something else, and they do something else, and then exactly what you're saying, basically then they step in. And
because we're the heroes.
Kind of talking, about different countries. And my friend in America, we are not hearing literally quarter of what's going on in America, where she's living. She's in LA, and it's like, it is crazy there. And it's like, they're all getting their guns and they're getting ready. They're getting ready for a civil war. They're preparing. And I just, like, she was on the phone with me the other night and we were just talking about different things, and she was saying when people get to the point where, one, they've got no money, they've got no job, they've lost their house, they've lost everything. Basically, they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They'll go out and crime will just be off the scale, because people will, it'll not be because they're general criminals, as a strange phrase to say, but it'll be out of desperation.
Yeah,
And
they've got nothing else, nowhere else to turn.
And it's like, where will it stop? And it's like, that is the scary part. It's like, where will the line be drawn? Because all this love, peace, and let's all be together, and I feel that is completely gone now.
It's how I've lived my whole life. That whole ethos as well is that, you know, if you work hard enough, you'll get by. If you love and give love, you'll get love back. It's you know, it is what it is. But who knows?
Kind of, we're
who knows
forgetting
where
that.
we're going, Alison?
We need to pull that back in. We need to remember how much we love each other, and like, and I know it's going totally against, and I'll be shut down for this, but hugging. We need to touch. We need to hug. We need to unite. Not against anybody, or not to fight anything. Not just to survive as humans.
Yeah, we need more. You're quite right. Alison, bless you, darling. Stay well. I'm sending you a hug too. And I'm so sorry to hear about your husband. That's a body blow. I'm so sorry.
That's just work. What's happened with Bodie and what's happening with other people is just big hugs. Big hugs out.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Alison. Take care, darling.
Big love. See you later.
Bye-bye. Lovely people. Bad things happening across the board, all over the place. I know we've got David from Boburn next, but looking at the clock, I think it's time we delivered a little bit of music. A bit of music certainly wouldn't hurt at this time. Now, Cyndi Lauper, we love her, and I suppose it's absolutely relevant that here she's talking about censorship.
Censorship is a big issue, because you can't like ever let happen what happened in the 50s in the United States. I mean, I read about it because I was born then, but I didn't live that. But I think that's a terrible thing to blacklist and to make lists and to, you know, because you just fuel everything with fear, and ignorance is what fuels fear. And I mean, even this song, You Don't Know, that's what it's about, not being a sheep. I was watching the Republican convention, and scared the hell out of me because I saw young people, excuse me, woke up in a bad movie there. Sorry. And they were talking like they were going to take away, they were going to work to take away my rights, and I should vote for them.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary. And so I wrote about how I felt about people who, and about how we live. We're told what to wear. We're told what to like. We're told when to do it. We're told when not to do it. We're told how old we are when we have to change into what we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And whatever that is. And conform, march along like a good soldier or a sheep. But that's how Hitler and all those terrible things that happen in the world happened because people don't step back and just think, yeah, everybody wants to belong, me too. But, if somebody says, okay, now we're all jumping off this bridge, you're going to jump? Not me. I might say, oh yeah, I'll be right there. Start without me.
Hi, man.
Hi, Alan. You're in a break. 2.5 minutes.
Okay, man. You're going to have to put the callers up on screen. Jen's going to get some sleep. It's silly o'clock over here. So if you could just stick
You're
them
still
up
on the
on the
stream.
screen.
You're still on live on the stream as well. You're still live on the stream.
And I understand that. Have some body clips. Can you talk to me during a clip or just during an ad break?
Just during an ad break. Well, I'll be turning the stream off before the next song anyway, so then I can talk to you during.
Well, what you need to do now is to tell me what
I don't
the
have them yet.
headlines are.
I can't tell you on the stream because obviously that'll give them away twice. So, well, it's live on Facebook and YouTube right now.
Right. Well, why don't you then get them up and you tell me what the headlines are and we'll talk about it. You just do the headlines. And I'll come up with a story. Just change roles.
Okay.
And then when you mention the headline, then I'll take it over.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes. Sounds good. The next song will be after David and Boburn, Lorna and Siam.
Right.
And then obviously we'll have to say bye to the stream to do the blah.
And the song is?
We could do No Doubt with a clip.
No, keep the clip till after. Come up with a nice long song.
We've got Relax, Flanky Goes to Hollywood there. Waiting.
That's the one then. Let's relax. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, 40 seconds.
Class work.
Alan Robson's Night Owls.
The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Alan Robson with you. Thanks for being with us tonight. Blimey, been fairly heavy. We could always do with some more of those weird food combinations. I don't think anything has quite got to the apex of yuck as much as putting vinegar on corned beef. But maybe you've got some food combinations you want to share with us. Pick up your telephone, give us a ring. 01914883188. Time for the second clue that could win you our mug prize as well. The first clue was a greatest hit for Badfinger was called No Something What. I think Boyzone also had a hit of the same name with a different song. So, Know Something What. Hope that helps you. Second clue, the doctor that James Bond visited. The very first James Bond film. The doctor James Bond visited. What was his name? Write that down too. You are now 2 clues up. When you hear the fourth clue, then you can ring in and see if you can be victorious tonight. Somebody has to be. Might as well be you. 0191 488 3188. Get the calls in. David from Boburn is up next. Hi, David.
Hi there. You all right, Alan?
Yes, I'm good, mate. Thanks for calling. What's your story tonight? What are you talking about?
Well, basically, your sister radio station has asked us to get in touch. And I'm quite new to this. It's basically to raise awareness of what my eldest daughter's wanting to do.
Right.
Basically, we're deeply terrible about what happened to that young Charlie who took her life. Absolutely devastated. We've got kids similar age, been through nowhere near what she's been through, but our kids have been bullied quite a bit, and she really wants to do something in honour for her.
Right.
And
so what's she doing?
Well, she races karts. She races go-karts up and down the country.
All right.
Basically, we're looking to clear up a championship in the next week. We've got 2 races, one next week, one the week after, And if she wins them, we'll win the championship. And we're planning on covering up all the sponsorships and covering a cart in memory of Charlie.
That's a lovely thing to do.
The tripods, and they get viewed. There's like thousands and thousands of views. So it's like televised as well, which is, she just wants to do it and really, really get a big impact and hopefully spread the word and put a stop to it.
I think it's a fabulous thing to do, and I think the family would be thrilled to know that you're going that extra yard. That's a lovely thing to do. So how can people see and how can people get to know more about this then?
Well, basically, she's got her own Facebook page, Catherine Potter Racing, with Catherine with a C.
Right.
We're going to put the links onto there of when the race is going to be.
Right.
One of them's local to, it's in Warden Law, Sunderland, Carton North East.
Right.
And the other one's at Teesside Autodrome. The Teesside one will be streamed live with commentary, with the commentator we're quite friendly with as well, so we'll get quite a few plugs. Going to see if we can get a few plugs for their GoFundMe as well, which they're going to donate money to hospital wards and whatnot.
No, it's wonderful.
But yeah, because like Catherine's been through a lot, because nobody really likes the son to get beaten by a girl. That's how it all started.
So I mean, this is a mixed sport, is it?
Yeah. I mean, there's more girls getting into it now, and I mean, it's growing. But in the early days, was parents being abusive, other kids being abusive, name calling. But I mean, you get that in all sports. But karting can be quite evil. Like we've seen children younger than my daughter being thrown in the back of a van by the parents and screamed at. And it's awful. It is awful. Some of the stuff we've seen is disgraceful. So if she can cross that line, win that championship with stop bullying all over the side of that car, that hopefully will have a big impact. Like,
yeah, it's a big message to send. I mean, how did she get into it in the first place? Was this her trying to follow a dream that you would want to do but weren't able to, or how did she come into it?
Not at all. I teach people to drive, and one of the guys I taught to drive, lad called Charlie Fagg, he's a local lad, and he's massively into his motorsport, and Catherine heard about it, and she just said, Dad, how did Charlie get into cars? And I was like, well, he used to race cars. And basically, try and shorten the story, Charlie offered to take Catherine out at the local track. He took her out and followed her around, gave her a bit of support and whatnot, and she's just absolutely loved it. Got her own cart, and then Charlie's always in touch and keeps on top of things, and she's just gone from strength to strength and just proved that girls can be up there with boys. And
absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, is this an expensive thing? I mean, how much would a standard cart go for? Because I have heard, obviously, a lot of motor racing drivers have said, I started karting and then I moved to Formula 5 or 6 or whatever number it is, the lower echelons, and you work your way up. I mean, is it an expensive sport to get into?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It can be. I mean, if you were to, like, say, have a look on the bit, you'll see Catherine's cart is it's got a bit of gaffer tape on it, we'll say, and it's got a few welds here and there, and you'll see some carts are absolutely pristine. We just basically try and do it on a bit of a budget because, I mean, with sponsorship's been a nightmare this year. Absolutely, understandably, we can't expect it.
Yeah, for sure.
Catherine's actually funded a lot of it herself by recycling plant pots, tyres and turning them into plant pots and clocks, and done quite a bit herself. Yeah, she actually managed over lockdown to raise over £2,000. She raised more, which went to charity, and the other bit the pieces she sold, she actually bought her next chassis for the following year through lockdown, selling secondhand. Well, it wasn't secondhand; it was selling plant pots made out of tyres, which is pretty cool.
What's the likelihood of this like that? That's great. Hey, whatever works, man. That's what nowadays. That's what we're all about, isn't it? I suppose. But what tremendous thing. So good luck to her. And again, doing a nice thing, raising some money for a great cause. Great cause.
Excellent.
So thank you very much for coming on. Good to talk to you, David. All the best, and love to Catherine. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Al.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. So there, David in Boburn. And again, GoFundMe page for you to watch out for if you support that. And we shall move on to Seaham, where we find Lorna. Hi, Lorna.
Hiya.
Hello, Dana. What can we do for you tonight?
Pardon?
What do you want to talk about tonight?
Oh, right. Yes. It was about food concoctions.
Oh, good girl. What you got?
Something you don't like. I've listened to you for years, absolutely adore you, but now like you've totally disappointed us, and I'm like gutted.
Why?
Because you don't like mash and beans.
Oh, mash and beans? No. We used to sometimes get it at school. I hated school dinners to start with, and we used to get it for a school dinner, and they'd put the mash on, and they said, "Would you want beans?" And to me, that was like, no. But the other kids, slosh them on, and they'd make a hole in the mash for the beans, and you're thinking, whoa, this is just wonky. How did that happen? How did that begin in your world, or was that from your mammy?
No, I've always loved. I think my favourite ever meal is just a bowl of beans with bread and lots of butter, and the butter's just dripping out the bottom of the bread. It's great, man. You don't know what you mean.
I think it's just I like beans, but I have to have barbecue sauce on them as well. I like that added thing. Not sure. Could you not get away with that with mash or not?
No,
Maybe no. I understand. Any other weird food combinations in your household then?
Probably lots, really. I used to love the prunes and custard at school. Even though everybody used to hate them, I used to secretly eat them. And then, like, poor faces say, "Oh, yeah, they're horrible, aren't they?" Oh, yes, I'm loving them.
It's funny, though, because I don't know whether it's an age thing, but a lot of the foods that I used to really hate, like I hated mushrooms, fungus, you think, oh, hang on, tomatoes, all them little seeds. A lot of the foods that I used to really hate, I actually quite like now. And I don't know whether all my taste buds have just died, therefore you can have any old thing in there. But have you done the same kind of thing? Or the things that you hated as a kid, you still hate?
No. I used to hate tomatoes when I was younger, and I love them now, and the same, like mushrooms. And, I don't like bacon.
What?
No, I don't like bacon.
That's a sanctified food. Bacon? Good gracious. What's your breakfast? Oh, you're not one of these muesli people, are you?
No, just a coffee.
Just a coffee, just to get you by.
Yeah.
I can't blame you. Yeah. My breakfast as a kid was a packet of opal fruits on the way to school if I could afford them. That was the thing.
Yeah,
All your pocket money went on that. Yeah. That's strange thing. Anything else while you're on then?
Yeah.
Anything else, Lorna?
No, I don't know. I don't want to talk COVID because it's literally really bugging us at the minute.
Yeah, but bugging everybody.
In my line of work, I haven't been furloughed, and I have had no choice but to go to work. So I know people saying, "Well, I've been furloughed," and it is really, really awful, and I really feel for those people. But I work with the young disabled, so even if I didn't want to go to work, I had to.
Sure.
Because the government were like, "Well, you've still got your job. You can go to work," but I'm like, "Well, I'm being put on the front line. I'm frightened."
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got a care of duty, like a duty of care, so you've got to do it. So, and it is awful, but at the same time, it's almost turned into like a vigilante. It's like, oh, I'm not doing this. They're not telling me what to do. Blah 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 blah. It's not a lot of science. The rules are not hard to follow. Go to the shop, wear your mask. We wouldn't be where we are now if people just followed these simple rules and didn't flout them. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. But
yeah. I do think it's interesting, though, that you're saying that you're hearing stories, obviously, of people being furloughed and not getting their jobs back. You've had to work all the way through. And I would imagine right at the very beginning, when the thought of a furlough, I'm going to be able to go at home and all these people are having a nice time. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting back, chilling. I mean, it sounds like they got the best of the deal, but not if their job's not there at the end of it. That's the sting, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like my friend who I'm like living with, she got furloughed. She's got twin boys, and now she's been made redundant. So that's left her in a hell of a hole. And she loved her job. And yes, I know people at the beginning, furlough, great. They would have thought that for the first month. After that, you get bored. You want to go back to work. I love my job. Do you know what I mean? And I do find myself quite lucky that I did have my job, or maybe I wasn't quite lucky because I had to go into that frontline situation. You know, so there's different.
Explain to me, Lorna, the front line though. You're on the front line. You're dealing with people with disabilities, and that's a job that I could never do. So absolute respect for that. But were you given any safeguards? Were you given the right kind of protection, and have the people that you cared for been the ones that have been falling victim to the COVID?
Well, luckily, none of the people I work with did fall victim to it, but we did struggle with PPE.
Right.
The point that the manager actually bought it in ourselves because we weren't getting any provided. So it has been hard. So, but it's been hard.
Yeah, but it's the interesting thing about that is that you're on the front line with the people who are most vulnerable and most at risk, and yet none of them had COVID, and yet the people who say, "Oh, my parents died or my dad died of pneumonia," but they said it was COVID. The messages are just kind of weird. I mean, within your professional area, you know, the people in the business, so to speak, have they questioned the whole COVID thing? Because essentially, the people you're working with should have been the ones that were falling first, so to speak.
Yeah, I know what you mean. To tell you the truth, I think it's hit everybody, even the government, hard, and I don't think anybody knows what to do. Really, we just are clutching at straws at the minute, and hope that we can ride through it. And we just need to stick to the rules and not, as I say, going like vigilante mode. And I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, because at the end of the day, it's there for our own well-being, really. So,
Right. So you're of the opinion, though, that we're doing the best we can. And can you see normal coming back at any point?
Normal. There's the word. What is normal? I hope so. I really do hope so. I think it'll be a while. I think we're probably looking at about this time next year, to be honest, by the way things are going. But in my opinion, yes, the rates have gone up, but that was to be expected. They've opened up colleges, university schools. Of course, the rate's going to go up. Of course, it is. Having more tests done, that's going to put the numbers up. Do you know what I mean? So they can't say, "Oh, it's going up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." They must have known by opening all these places, the numbers were going to rise. So I don't know. I'm doing.
It's an interesting thing because again, I tend to mention Europe a lot because what happens there, where traditionally what happens in America, we end up copying, but in Europe, the French government have said, "Look, we're going to have to learn to live with this disease." So everybody carries on as normal. Some cities, they've done the kind of lockdown stuff that we've done, like, Birmingham, we're going to have to, lock down Birmingham and then let it slowly get back to normal again. But the French essentially, other than wearing masks in shops, are getting on with it. And they're saying it's just another virus. There's going to be more viruses to come. We don't want to destroy the economy. We don't want to destroy jobs. We still want to be able to travel anywhere in the world, and they do, and they are. So they're just getting on it with it. But in Britain, it's major lockdown, it's threats, it's £10,000 fines. it's very different here to the rest of the world. And if you could experience the rest of the world, you would see, hell's teeth, what's going on in Britain? Why are they doing those kind of things?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's almost like they've gone into panic mode because they don't know what to do. And
that's the worry, though, isn't
it? That is the worry, because obviously we look to those people to guide us, and if then those people don't know what they're doing, it's not putting every confidence in us.
Absolutely.
So, as you say, like the French, they're just getting on with it, and it's more or less take the risk. You know what I mean? I read somewhere, I don't know if I read it today or yesterday or whatever, but our COVID death numbers or whatever, there's actually been more pneumonia or flu deaths in that year than what there was COVID. So it's, I don't know. I'm no expert, so I can't really.
No, I understand. Hey, well, I'm just glad you're well. I'm glad that it didn't affect you or your patients as well. Let's just hope it stays that way. Lorna, bless you. Thank you for coming on, darling. Good talking to you.
You're welcome. Right, thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Ah, dear. Roger in Bishop Auckland next. Hello, Roger.
Hello, Alan. Lovely to
Hello,
speak
sir.
to you again. We spoke a few years ago.
Yeah, welcome back.
I'm just outside Spennymoor, Alan. Do you remember I spoke to you about the ghost I'd seen and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
I'm the bloke with the Aussie accent.
Yes.
Two things tonight that have come up and reading the things on screen on Facebook. I mean, I'm nearly 78, and I lived through the latter half of the war.
Right.
And not the wars in this country. But we've got back home here, there was epidemics of influenza. You may have heard of it, or you lived through it. I don't know, Alan. Yeah?
Well, I've lived through many. The Asian flu, the onset of when AIDS first arrived. Blimey, we've been through a fair bit, and you've been through a lot more than I have. Where do you think this is going to lead to then, Roger?
Well, I think if people do not knuckle down and do as they're asked to do, they're not saying to people, you've got to do it, really. But we know, we discussed tonight, people coming on the phone, that these fines of 10,000 is great. Well, I think they have to pay it off anyway. But society, if we do not take notice and we go around hilly-nilly, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. Well, when things get so bad, they will bring in martial law. Then that's going to be bad, Alan.
Right, now I hear that. Interesting that this is your view. You see, during the war, and again, I wasn't alive for it, so you'll be able to put me right here, Roger, but during the war, you got a feeling that the people who were leading the country knew what they were doing. You believed them, you trusted them, you literally put your life in their hands. Do you really feel confident enough to do that with the people we have in at present?
No, I don't really myself, because I think people have gradually lost faith in the government. A great deal of people in this country. And speaking for myself, I have. I think the man who's leading us now is doing it willy-nilly. He's taking notice of people, I think, who live in ivory towers that really don't know what the people are doing really. The science boys and all that sort of thing. If they got out and about more and see the people more, well, in wartime, people did. Churchill did. The royal family did. But, of course, they're in their ivory towers at the moment telling us what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference, you see. I think it's easier for the people to believe in someone if they talk to them at the same level. You get the impression that we're being spoken down to here.
Yes, now, most of us in this country, I mean, like any of us that are patriotic, and I love my country. I don't sound like a Brit, but I fight and die again for this country, even at my age, But it'd be Dad's
yeah.
army, wouldn't it? It'd be Dad's army, Alan.
No, I hear you loud and clear, Roger.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Sorry. So, I'm a bit opinionated, but, we had cholera epidemics. We've lived through that. I remember that when everybody had to take the salt on sugar. Do you remember queuing up for that?
I remember that. Put it on your tongue and let it disappear. I know we've had a lot of and the 6 pricks we were called. You had to get all the injections in your arm when you were little boys. But
yes,
it's a very different thing. If they said to you, Roger, that okay, we've got this vaccine, we want everybody to take it. Do you take it? Do you trust them enough to take it or not?
Well, I'll tell you this. Besides being a telecommunications engineer and in IT, and also a musician in the pop world, I think that I've remember talking to you about it before. But I did study a little bit of microbiology, and that stood me in good stead in some ways of what to do and what not to do, and who to take notice of. Now, the people on the front line, as you know as well as I do, are the people that are in hospitals dealing with the people who've got COVID-19.
Right.
Now, some people in the world think this is a hoax. I've seen it come up on screen tonight on Facebook. It's a hoax. It's no hoax. It's a very bad virus.
Right.
And I mean, when a virus hits the world like it has, Alan, it's a pandemic. I mean, we had the Black Death.
Yeah.
No,
I hear you.
Yeah,
I understand. I can see both sides of that. I see both sides of that argument there, but where it's going to lead to, I think that perhaps we get our opinions blurred by the fact that we're not being allowed to do the things that we really love the most. We can't go to football grounds. We can't go to the pub. We can't go on a holiday. All of the things that are the things we wait for and long for suddenly aren't there anymore.
Yes, you're right. A lot of people let off steam, don't they? When they go out to a football match, they can show that the opposite team, except for their own team, they let off steam, they let off tension, and do other things in sport or any other thing,
Absolutely.
So, they can't do that. And the lady who was on earlier, she said she misses hugs, she misses touching. I don't, for myself, I've been in my house since March, except for once when I had a friend call and I had to go to the bank. I had to show myself in person. That's the only time I've been out. Now,
my goodness.
I don't see nobody unless I have a support worker come because of my age and a little bit of health problem.
So you could do with a good cuddle yourself then, Rog.
Beg your pardon?
You could do with a good cuddle yourself then.
Oh, I could, yes. I've got a lovely friend. Her name is Jen. She lives in Yorkshire. We were once a couple. She's an avid listener to your program, and she's listening tonight. I think you met her once when she came to the studios. I won't give her name out because that won't be fair. But yes, what else you were talking about ghosts earlier.
Yes.
Now, where I live, I won't say where because I'm a little bit private as I am. I'm very close to. Where I live here, I've had 2 apparitions here.
Right.
There are 2 apparitions in the house. One is a man dressed like an Edwardian frock coat and he's in black, and he stands at the top of my stairs as I enter the hallway to go to the main bedroom.
Right.
I sat here one night and I just glanced up from my computer. I'm an old geek, they call us nerds, don't they, or whatever. So I glanced up and there's a figure standing before me a few feet away in colour. An old lady with grey hair. She had a pinafore on, looked like something from the 30s.
Right.
She was moving her hands, looking down, just like if she was laying a table for tea or dinner.
Mm.
As I looked up, she returned, smiled, and just went. Now, there's been many things in my life like that. I think I explained to you when I used to live at Bury St Edmunds.
Right.
Being in the Abbey. Could you pass your mind back to that? I know you speak to many people on it.
Sure. No, I can recall Bury St Edmunds. We don't get too many from there.
No. Yeah, lot of, even Radio Suffolk had somebody see an apparition in the cellar of Angel House, where they had a studio at Bury St Edmunds.
Right.
And that was with Dave Webb, one of the Webb twins I met years ago.
Right.
And but very interesting. But on this COVID business of 19, I think people really got to take it seriously, because it is a very bad illness. I was reading the science paper. I'm sorry, and I seem to be doing much of the talking.
No, that's all right. I don't mind that at all, Roger. Hey, Roger, thank you for your views. We must move on, but bless you. Thanks for keeping in touch, and you stay well. We'll sending you a virtual hug as well.
I don't want to hug it. I mean, you stay safe too, and to all the listeners everywhere, I wish them all the best. And I do go on amateur radio, and I talk to the world. I'm a radio amateur, and I hear many views from around the world about what's just going on, you know. So
yeah, well, I'm glad.
to speak to you again.
Glad you shared it with us. Thank you very much, Roger. Roger.